Hi all you board game maniacs out there. Well, I can't really say board game maniacs as much anymore because I'm doing a lot of tabletop games too as well, but the channel is called Board Game Maniacs and I'm starting to ramble and this is just the beginning. Bah! In either case, we are here today and in this Painting with the Maniac episode, we are going to be continuing on our Fallout Wasteland Warfare for the theme month of Fallout Wasteland Warfare by Modifius Entertainment. And looking at the expansion box creature ghouls, get it in focus a little bit more there, we are going to paint the bloated glowing one. You can see him dead center there. He's glowing, he's bloated, he's pustule, and he's pretty gross. Now, if you've been following along, we already painted the feral ghoul. So all three feral ghouls are painted, and this one will complete the miniatures from this creature's ghoul expansion set. And we're going to be can't even talk, jeez. We are going to be painting this one, and you know, he looks interesting. He's very glowy. It's a lot of fun. I've already painted the putrid glowing one instead of this one here up here. I painted off camera. I'll show you in a second what he looks like. And this is what we're painting today. So let's take a look at the one that I already painted and I'll talk about what we did and we'll continue on from there. Before we start with the painting and showing you, just a big thank you to all the Patreon supporters out there and subscribers for liking, commenting, sharing the videos, and for helping support Board Game Maniacs, obviously. And just a quick reminder again, go check out the 2020 channel update video where I have a list of games that people can vote on so that we can continuously play 1 or 2 times a month along with the theme month for Board Game Maniacs. So go check that out. Also too as well is, now let's take a look at this. Here is a putrid glowing one. You can see I really like all the detail on the base with the barrels and the cinder blocks and the concrete and the gas can, and yeah, I really like this. And you can see I put a little bit of shine onto it, a little bit of vomit and glowing too as well. And he is definitely glowing. He's not like super bright, but he is bright. He's, you know, this is what I'd call tabletop standards. Really nice detailed miniature. And you can see all the little pustules and everything else that are on there. It's pretty gross. He was a lot of fun to paint. So we're going to paint this one. So let's go to the bloated, putrid glowing one, or just the bloated glowing one, and I'll show you because I based him out already and that is all I did. You can see here he is all based out. He is glowing already, and you can see there's a couple of spots here that the paint had pooled, and you know, he's very shiny. I really like that he's so shiny. Well, he's very glowy, and I like the fact that like the paint kind of just pooled like a wash in certain areas. Now, I airbrushed the base onto this, and the color that I use is not from Citadel actually. Just gonna swing this over. This is from Testors Aztec. It's fluorescent. It's an airbrush paint, but you can just use a brush and paint it this way too as well with this. It don't have to be done with an airbrush, but the fluorescent line that is from Testors I really like. Very vibrant, and that's why I picked this one, because you can see the color right there. That's why I picked this one to create the glowing effect, because it works. Definitely works. In my opinion, it works. The first step we're going to do is we're going to apply a wash in select areas to the miniature. Now the wash we're going to apply is Beal Tan Gray, green, not gray, sorry, and it's Citadel. It's just a wash, pretty simple. And when I say selective is, I'm just going to use my little small detail brush, after I find it. There it is. And I'm just going to apply it like in between the pustules, probably underneath his belly part, like where there'd be dark recesses. I'm going to apply that, and then after we apply all of that, then we're just going to continue on and do like the gross stuff and everything before we do the base. The base is kind of be like one of the last things that we base out before we add the wash to it. So this here is again, just the Citadel Beal Tan Green. And I'm just picking out in certain areas. You can already see that the paint has pooled when I did that. How did I do that, you ask? Well, I just airbrushed it and I sat them up bright and just let them dry. This paint has got a little bit more of a watery consistency. It's like a wash. And because of that, it kind of just would find the recesses and just naturally pool there. And that's what I did. So now again, with the wash, I'm just straight at the pot. I'm just going around in certain spots because I want to keep this glowiness to it, because I really like how this paint works. You're probably going to have a little bit of bleed, but I'm intending for that to happen. A little bit of bleed going on because he is glowing, he's bloated, he's gross. I want to keep the grossness up. So yeah, I'm just going in all the natural recesses of the miniature that was sculpted in there. And I'm just kind of bringing them out a little bit. I'm not putting too much product onto my brush, because I just wanted to, you know, kind of pool where I wanted to pool. I'm probably going to get, like I said, a little bit of bleeding, but I don't want it to have too much bleeding that's going to look a little strange. Well, stranger than putrid glowing one kind of thing, if that makes sense. Yeah. Anyhow, that's pretty much what I'm doing with the wash. This first step is I'm just going in all the deep crevices, like I said. It's not rocket science. It's not difficult. Just repainting everything. So what I'm going to do is I'll paint all of this. I'll be back and I'll show you what it looks like after it's dry. Now that all the wash is dry, and again, I want to explain before you go on is why I selectively put the wash just kind of into the recesses. And the reason why is because if I just applied the wash all over to the miniature, the bright green glossiness will have been dulled down and it's not going to be as shiny. And I want to keep that shininess part to it. So that's why I did just selectively. And I went really heavy onto the wash, as you can see there, just to give a lot of dimension. And you don't have to do it that much if you don't want to. It's just that's what I'd liked, and that's what I've done. But again, it's a matter of preference. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint all the pustules, and we're going to be using with Everland Sunset. I always say that wrong. Everland Sunset. And again, I just got it in my wet palette. I'm just going in and painting them. When you do this, you can say, like, you know, I'm happy with this color. I don't want it to be as bright and glowy. What you did on the first one, I did add a little white and everything for the pustules. But again, it's a matter of preference of if you want it to be like super bright and glowy or just a little bit or none at all. Like, that's totally your decision. But in either case, you know, it's artistic choice. I'm trying to avoid some of the wash from where I created, like I went around everything. Some parts I'm just going over, going gung-ho and like, hey, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. Other parts, I'm just kind of being very selective. Again, it is your choice. But yeah, I'm just gonna apply all of the green, or the yellow for the pustules. We'll see how that looks, and then when we're done with that, I'll be back. I may add just a little brighter color or a white. We'll see after we're done painting how it looks. So I'll be back after I paint that again. I'm just avoiding all the spaces. Well, not all of them. Some of the spaces where the wash has pooled, and others I'm going through it. It's a matter of choice, like I said, but I'll show you what it looks like when we come back. Now that all of the yellow, the Everland Sunset is painted, you can see there, going it over. Now, you can leave it like this and leave it a little dull, but if you want to make it a little brighter, which I'm going to do, is I'm using again some more of the Testors Aztec series of fluorescent yellow. And I'm just going to bump up in little spots just to bring highlights out for like the belly and everything. And, you know, pretty much I'm going to repaint all of the pustules, but I'm not going over up them entirely, just kind of like the highest part, I guess is the best way to explain it, just to make it look like it's, because it's highlighted, right? So again, yep, just paint, dab here, little dab there. Still on camera. There we go. Because he is the glowing one, so I want to make it a little brighter. As you can see there, it's already showing up. You may have to put 2 coats of this because it is very translucent. You can see through it a lot. No, it's totally up to you. What I did is I kind of only did the 1 coat because I like the darker yellow to show through. Give it more of that kind of pussy looking pus look to it, I guess. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep continuing on. I might as well just record this. And I'm not diluting this whatsoever because, again, it is very watery consistency as it is, because it is meant for an airbrush. That I'm just kind of going straight at the pot. Make things go a little better, you know, so I don't have to try to do a cleanup of it, the running and of the fluorescent paint, because I don't want that. You can see there he's looking very glowing pustular, I guess. I don't know what word I could say for that, but it looks like his pustules are glowing. How is that? And again, I'm not totally covering over everything where I paint it. Not that you can't, but just to give it a little bit more dimension, just to show through the other color yellow. And also on top of that, just to show through like the green wash. I'm getting quiet again. Clean my brush off a bit. As you can see, he's looking pretty gross. And that's good, because this guy's supposed to look pretty gross. I know one thing, he wouldn't be good for playing hide and seek in the dark, because he glows. He'd be good for a flashlight. But that's about it. Like, I don't know what else I could say, like, for him for in the dark, and I wouldn't want to encounter him, but you could see him coming a mile away in the dark. You would think so, unless he has a way of controlling, you know, turning off his glowingness. So there. Again, just little dabs I did. I didn't go over the whole thing. Again, you can put more than 1 coat onto this if you want, but I'm not, because it is translucent. I want to take advantage of that you can see through. So I like the look of him, so we decided to give him a couple of minutes here to dry before we go on and we tackle on the base. And just as an added step, I'm not going to do it, but you could pretty much, to make him more glowing, you could take like a lighter green or even like a white and add a zenithal highlight kind of like on an angle, just to kind of bright up a little bit, but it'd have to be a very good translucency to the white, so it just adds a little bit of highlight to it, but not a lot. But again, this kind of going past the tabletop in my opinion, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep this just tabletop quality, because again, my mission is just to get them painted as quick as possible to get them on the table, and that is it. So we'll be back after this is all dry, and we'll continue on with the next step. Since that is all dry, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start working on the base. So you can see in the base here, there's rocks and rubble. There's even some bottles on here, maybe like Nuka-Cola. And that to me looks like a mailbox. And cinder blocks, obviously. So we're just going to base out the whole thing, and we're going to move on from there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some Mechanicus Standard Gray. I'm just shaking it up here. And we're gonna pretty much base out the entire thing with Mechanicus Standard Gray. I'm throwing it in my wet palette just to make things things go by a little better. Keep the paint wet. Or stay wet, that it's not drying out, diluting with a little tiny bit of water. So again, Mechanicus Standard Gray we're starting with. Very easy. And we're just going to do the whole thing. Like, we're not gonna avoid, well, we could avoid the mailbox. And that just to help things out a little bit more. But nah, we're just gonna load the whole thing up just like this. If we don't hit the mailbox, we keep it like that, no big deal. But hey, oops, I went over it. I purposely did that. Yeah, we're just gonna quickly base this out. Mechanicus Standard Gray. Pretty easy peasy. Make sure you don't hit the feet. Now, he is glowing, and on the previous one, I did kind of just a little tiny subtle glow effect onto the floor, or onto the base, I should say. The concrete, it's not a floor. So I may do the same thing with that. Well, I'm gonna have to create some kind of glow effect. And from where the green is very translucent, it's gonna be not as bright. But we may try a totally different effect here. I'll just finish covering this over first off. So while the paint is wet, I should say, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a Q-tip. Without dropping my paint brushes. I do that all the time. So Q-tip, and from where his feet, kind of like around his feet, are kind of glowing, I'm just going to dab off some of the gray. Just a little bit. So I put it on and I'm taking it off. But I'm leaving like areas of the gray on there. You can see I'm just slowly doing it. We're going to add more green paint to it, but this way it's at least going to have a little bit of leftover to it. That makes sense. So therefore, I'm not going to have to put layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer onto the base with the green from where it's so translucent. You'll see. You will see. See, I'm just working it around like that. Again, this is just a damp Q-tip. And you can see there. Kind of lifting off some of the green. Some of the gray, I should say, in areas. Because he wouldn't just glow little spots. It'd be kind of like a subtle glow over the entire thing. So I'm just doing this. It may work, it may not. Experience is probably the thing that will guide and help you here, but that's one thing that I don't have a lot of, is experience with painting miniatures. Like I said, I'm not a professional miniature painter. But, you know, you learn as you go along. And I just wiped it off the bottles too as well. You can see right there. Because I want these bottles to be glowing too as well, because they are made of glass. It may be like a shaded glass, but they're glass and they are going to reflect a little bit of light. So I'm going to leave that dry like that. I'm not going to wipe any more off. When we come back, we'll continue on with the base. Since the Mechanicus Standard Gray is all dry, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint all the blocks. And we're going to paint that with Drawstone Gray. And we're going to go over it with the rocks too as well. Very quick and easy though. This is crazy. So yeah, just super easy. Just adding Drawstone Gray to the blocks, cinder blocks. Just like so. And we're going to add it to the rocks too as well. One rocky arky. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm doing my sick Batman voice. As in Batman sick. Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah. Dry stone gray. Pretty easy peasy. Just like this, a couple other areas. Oh, I see a rock there. I've never seen that. Whoa, you can't see it on camera, but it is right in front of his foot. All right, so that part's done. Now, I'm gonna paint the mailbox here. See right there. And the color I'm using for that is going to be Evil Sun's Scarlet. I just like the color of that red. So yeah, just, you know, going over it. Just like this. Still in camera. On screen, which is good. Again, I find that the hardest thing to do is when I'm painting like this and it's on camera. I find it more difficult in painting, and that's to keep what I'm painting on frame, on screen, and not have my big head blocking it. Again, that's a little difficult. Just turning it this way so I can get between here. I'm assuming this is a mailbox. If not, it is now. It looks like a mailbox to me. Just like that. Ooh, little spot there. Okay. And then bottles, I'm going to leave them green and the gray over it like that. The next thing we're going to do though is I'm going to take my XV88, you can see right there, and I'm going to paint the post for the mailbox. You can see it's kind of sticking through. So that's the post right there. Whew, that was hard, not really. So after that is done, I'm just going to leave that all dry. And then when it's dry, we're going to come back, we're going to add the wash, which is going to be Agrac's Earth Shade. Actually, I don't even have to show that part because I'm just covering over the entire thing. And then when the Agrac's Earth Shade is dry, I'll be back and we're going to just add a couple of final touches to it. And that's going to be like highlighting and some green for the glow from where he's bloated and so forth. So I'll be back after that is all done. So just to be clear, Agrac's Earth Shade is going to be dry, and then we're going to come back after that. The wash is all dry, the Agrac's Earth Shade. Here on the base you can see it's coming together. You can see the green showing through in little spots here and there, which I want it. So before we go any further, what I want to do is I'm going to take some Longbeard Gray, my favorite dry that I use for highlighting mostly. And we're just going to dry brush the base completely. So just a little bit will do you. Everybody knows about dry brush. You put it on your brush, then you work off on a piece of paper towel or something. See it a little bit. And then you just start brushing away. You can see there. Again, going on there too as well onto the mailbox. Pretty much going everywhere. To make it stand out. Just like so, not too difficult. So where that dry brush is done, the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to add some vomit The vomit, when it dries glossy. So this is from Vallejo. You can see here, I did it in the previous video, but we're gonna add a little bit of vomit to it. But I'm not gonna treat it so much as vomit as I am like a base for when I'm putting down more of the green glow. So I'll just dab the vomit where I want the green glow to go. Let's see right there. Can't really, it's kind of a bad angle for that, but it's all right. Going over the bottles, the Nuka-Cola bottles, just to give them a little bit of a shine to them. And maybe a little bit too onto the mailbox. And this is all for the glow effect. You could just airbrush and you'd be done. When I say airbrush, I mean like use the green that I use for the base of that and airbrush. But I'm not going to do that. I'm changing up a bit. So now we're going to switch over to the green, the Tester's Aztec fluorescent green, which was the base. And while the vomit is dry, I'm just going to go in here for the glowing effect. Just like so, a little bit on the mailbox. So right now it looks like it's just a leak that he has, and that could work, definitely work easily. Nothing wrong with that. A little bit onto the rocks and everything. Not too much though. So while that is still wet, I'm just going to take a Q-tip here and I'm going to tone it down just a little bit. So the Q-tip is dry and I'm just kind of in a rolling action just to strip off some of the green, the glowing part and the vomit, but it's going to be still like a light glow from him, because he is called the bloated glowing one. But I'm stripping down some so it's not looking like it's a toxic spillage. I guess that's a good word for it. So yeah, I'm just kind of taking some off of the mailbox and base and everything. Look, I'm not stripping it off a lot, but just slightly so that you get the glowing effect. So you could still use that if you want as toxic. It's totally up to you, whatever way you want to do it. And if you want to add more to it, then just a little bit more of the green. Like I could probably put some more into by his foot right here because there's like none. And again, the amount of green that I have on my brush is very little. Like it's almost like a dry brush. But from where it has the shininess to it, it's more coming from the puke that I put onto it, because that gives it that glossy look. So the glue the vomit or puke mixed with the testers together, because the testers does have like a shiny, when it dries it is a little shiny, but this kind of just increases the shine a little bit by using the vomit. So just like that. Pretty easy. Like it's not hurt at all. If you wanted to as well, just add a little bit more light to it. You could take your Longbeard Gray and just kind of dry brush around this part just to make him look a little brighter, a little bit more translucency to him. It's up to you. And after that, there's two other steps, and that is we're going to paint the rim black and seal it. I'm not going to show the sealing, but when I come back, I'm going to have the rim painted and I'll show you the final result completed. And there you have it. That is the bloated glowing one. It's not putrid bloated glowing one, it's just a bloated glowing one, and it's from the Creatures Ghouls expansion for Fallout Wasteland Warfare by Modifius Entertainment. Pretty easy to paint, a lot of fun, I have to say. Really enjoy it. I can't wait to bring these onto the table to see what they do. Anybody who's wondering, when you purchase expansion packs, if you don't get the cards with them, you can always go to modifius.com or modifius.net, and on the download for Fallout, you can actually download all the cards. You can print them off or what have you, so that you can have it so that you know exactly what they can do and everything. Just a little tidbit of information, but I really had fun painting him. All the pustules and, you know, his glowing and his disgustingness and everything else. Pretty simple to paint. Oh boy, so that is the last miniature we have to paint for the Creature Ghoul box set expansion for Fallout Wasteland Warfare. So hope you enjoy me for the next painting along with the Maniac episode. We are going to continue on with the Fallout theme month, and we're going to paint another Fallout miniature. So until then, Board Game Maniacs, have fun playing games. Be careful in the Wasteland you don't come across things like this that can, you know, blind you because they're so bright and then infect you or attack you in some way, shape, or form. And remember to seal it after your paint jobs are all done with some kind of sealer, so that all the work that you put into it is going to be protected when they go on the gaming table. Woo! So until next time, Board Game Maniacs, have fun playing, and most importantly of all, and that is, be a maniac. Boo!
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to keep up to date with Board Game Maniacs, click on the like and subscribe button to be notified when more videos come available. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, go to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs. Or you can go to streamlabs.com/BoardGameManiacs1. That's right, and you can donate to help keep the lights on, keep food in our bellies, and play more games. We'll purchase more games, more equipment to make Board Game Maniacs evolve and get bigger and larger. Because of you, the viewers, I thank you from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head for all of your support. And until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.